Welcome, everybody. Lovely to see you all here. Um, Welcome to another gathering of the Solidarity Prepping Group. This week, we'll stick with the same format we've had in the last few meetings. So we'll have a talk or a presentation, a discussion from one of our members, um, followed by the opportunity for some questions and answers. And then, if we have enough time, into breakout rooms in smaller groups to talk about how what we have heard has is impacting us. So, is there useful information there that we can think about implementing ourselves? Does it start to shift and change our own thinking around our own preparedness or the communities in which we live? But we'll start as we customarily do, and we'll go into breakout rooms for a few moments for a check-in. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had the opportunity to meet a couple of new people and to connect with them and with yourself. I'm going to pass over shortly to Hynek, who has volunteered to be our sharer for this meeting. Um, Hynek is a smallholder in Croatia and has been on the land now for 15 years. So he's going to share with us his a potted history, if you like, his journey into the space he is now. And I think talk a little bit about idea versus the ideas and the concepts as opposed to what happens when you're actually on the ground and having to deal with the realities of day-to-day life. He'll also touch on the importance of animals as part of a whole system. So I don't think Hynek has prepared a presentation for us, but may have a video to share. So Hynek, over to you. Thanks.
Hi everybody. I hope it will be for some usage. So, my plan is I will start by introducing myself and our basically farm and homestead where we lived for like 15 years, or we live 15 years on the land. And then I have some like small theoretical part because I think the animals are like important part of the collapse future, in the sense that any agriculture in this like latitudes without animals will be very hard. And then I will just go through what we do and how we do it now on our farm. So I haven't done this anytime, so basically just bear with me, and I hope it will be nice. So, about the introduction, why I will introduce myself or our place, because when I'm listening to someone saying something to me, it is really important for me to know what the people are doing, because otherwise, everybody can say something to everything now. Basically, we have something what we call family farm. We are city people, so we didn't grow on the countryside, but we left the city, the capital of Czech Republic, when our first child was born, like 18 years ago. And in that time, we just start farming right away on a place which was our like weekend cottage till that. We just took the Seymour's book, The Self-Sufficient Life and How to Live It, and then some US manuals for homesteading, but we just started and we do what we think is right. And when it worked, it worked. When it didn't work, we started to find a solution for the problems. It was around 2008. I need to say that our goal was never to get the money from the farming. It's like doing farming for like money as an income thing is for me like non-doable in the current society. I know a lot of small farmers who try for some time and then fail. Some fail gracefully and some fail badly, but it usually takes a toll on relationships, on everything. So basically, I need to disclose that I do some computer work. I work something like 40 hours a month, and that's basically what pays our bills. When we started, it was our first farm. It was not best place for farming. It was near quite a big town. It was big slope. It was small. So basically, we need to build everything and we need to reconstruct, rebuild everything what was there. But we started right away with the animals. So first year we have sheep, hens, rabbit, bees, basically everything. And it went well. We had in that time sheep for milk, so we milked sheep, doing cheese, everything. It was like in the beginning when we jumped in that like straight away, like everything was so rewarding. Like everything you do was a new and it was surprising and it went well. It was also time for, I don't know, 5, 6 years. We wrote a blog in that time, which was quite popular in this like Czech Republic time. But then our more kids were born. We have 4 kids now, and all are like homeschooled, unschooled around the farm. Uh, so that was, and we were living in that place basically for 10 years, like building everything, preparing. I built like 3 barns there in succession. I built first barn, and I was completely sure it is the last barn I'm building and it will be enough. It was not, so 2 years later, I built another barn, and then 5 or 6 years later, I finally built a big barn, and that was enough. But it took me like 3 experiments to find out. But then around like 2018, we have find out that our dream of living our life in a niche away from other people is sort of not enough. And it was a time of Extinction Rebellion, so we basically decided we will go public, living just in some like our small bubble is not enough. We try to make the change big. We start the group in our city of that time. Oh, I wanted to prepare, and our action was there is this city in the valley, and above the city there is a mountain which has like ski slope, which can be seen from all the city. And our biggest action was that we made this big, like 50 meters diameter logo of Extinction Rebellion on the ski slope, and it can be seen from all the city. Like 100,000 people could see that. So we were approached with from the city council for everybody. Everybody wants to talk to us, and then basically it fizzled out. But this year was also very dry year in our location, and we were on the southern slope. So basically, we went in this one year. We went to this like half production, half grass, everything, and there was also some wake up call for us about the climate change. And we decided we want to change. So in years 2020 and 2021, we moved to Sweden, like more north, and we were teaching self-sufficient farming in Sweden in an alternative school for adults where these 10 pupils, they're adults like age 25 to 35. They lived the whole year on this farm, and we produced like most of the food for ourselves with these people. And we also give like lessons about theoretical lessons about self-sufficient farming. And in that time we were like fully decided to move to Sweden to buy a farm there, and we were looking for the farm. but probably most of you didn't know in Sweden it is not allowed it is not allowed to homeschool. And basically, as we homeschooled for 10 years, and we also had a like small child, Hilda, the youngest was, I don't know, 2 years, 1.5 year, 2 years. So we know this will be with us for like a lot of years. So on the end, we decided we will go back to Czech. Also, because a friend of us who we helped before with his farm, he came to us and he said, "Oh, I have found for you the best place for farming in Czech Republic, and it's not so far from us." So in 2022, we start farming in new place, more rural, much more farther for people. It's basically like we have no neighbors. The nearest inhabited house is like kilometer from us. It's better agricultural land, but basically, completely new start from scratch. We bought it from old people and they were doing some like farming, but conventional one. So the land was quite used and we started from scratch. And like sometimes the people ask me, but you know what you should do and how it should look. Yeah, it was easier. No, it was not. It was so much easier when I start on the first place, start from scratch, was not sure what all I need to build, what all I need to go, and I was just seeing the closest horizon, and then I went to that horizon, and then I was, oh, that's not enough. I need to see another horizon. Much better than, seeing the distant mountains and knowing that you need to get there. So, yeah, maybe I did much less errors, but psychologically much harder, because you know everything, you know how the land should look, but the work needs to be done. And this basically also like grounded me much more in the land, in the physical reality. I don't give a shit to the design principles, to what needs to be done. Even if you know all this, you will find out that in the nature you need to give your work into that. Sorry, that was emotional for me, because that's something what I am doing. So, and it was also like ideological shift. I say we are collapse aware, how only someone growing most of his own food can be. Uh, and I have the feeling that it's much more than the people in the cities or towns are. Also, as my wife Alena, which is somewhere around me here, says that every collapse podcast there is this 45-minute moment when the guest is saying, "Oh, everything is worse and there is no solution," but there is this in the 45 minutes you will. But I have the hope in this one solution, which will and then tell what you imagine, which will like bring us to the other I don't know how to say it, to the new world. We also translated and published the book Small Farm Future of Chris Mage in Czech to Czech. Unfortunately, I have most of the books still on our farm because it was much less popular than I hoped. And now our ideological position is a cross between Tom Murphy, very very like long time horizons, very human skeptic, and Chris Mage, very like land centered, agriculture centered. So that was very short description. I did my best to do it quick. So that was our houses, and this is our pond. Our need was to have a pond for irrigation water. If you can see, there are two of our horses on the pasture now, there somewhere near the middle of the screen. Now it's sort of flying over the like area which we leave to nature, so we don't go there, we don't let our animals go there. So it's very wild, trees, brambles, everything. Now, in front of us, there is a place where we do hay for our animals and where we also can see the trees. When we came to this place, the cows are not ours, the more in left is ours. The first thing we did when we came here is we planted like 200 trees around our farm where we will be turning now. So there are rows of trees. I am in the permaculture, but for the used one, for the practical one, so we have trees in rows, and we can pasture in between of those. Yeah, these are our machinery, and this is our like smaller garden, vegetables, greenhouse. This is our bee house, and there can be see the sheep now in the middle of the screen, which are in the shade in the pasture. Yeah, this is the place where the creek is going, and now we will fly around above our farm, our barn. So this time I built enough big farm for the first time, I hope. Uh, So there is the farm. You can see on the farm roof, we have the solar panels, 15 kilowatt of the solar power. So we are basically off grid most of the year. Uh, and now we slowly fly above the gardens out of the farm to the neighbor's farmland. Yeah,
Yes,
okay. It was just a basic impression because, as I am talking to people, as we are all on the different places in the world, it's very hard to imagine how such a farm can look like. Uh, Nice. So, I have now here a personal disclaimer, which is we love what we are doing. We don't do it for anyone else that for us. So we don't give any advice. We don't say that you should do it like this because we primarily do it because we like it. We deeply inside believe this is the how the life should look like, and that gives us like some strength to go through the problems. And we are privileged that we can afford to do this in current society, which boils down that first, before we can plan for the future, we need to be able to survive the present before going to the future. So for us, it's finding ways how to get some money, and so we can afford to buy the things from the society. Nice. Okay, so now, as you can see from the beginning, we had the animals. Now we have like basically like most of the farm animals which are normally in our like climate latitudes. And so I will just start a very short theory what the animals can do for you when you are growing food. So basically, in our like temperate latitude, in the history, the animals were used for as far as we can see. It very much differs by latitude. I think, and it's just my observation, the more you go to equator and humid places, the less humans are dependent on animals. Uh, in this rainforest, you can very much survive without any animals. On the poles, on the cool climate, it is basically maximum. The Inuit people living on the poles, their diet was something like 99% like animal, animal bound. But let's check what the animals can do for us in this like temperate latitude, which I think sort of can be used for most of the like northwestern society. So basically, the third thing is material food creation and processing. What I mean by this is meat, milk, eggs, wool, hides. Basically, the animals are processing something what humans cannot use, grass, some woody fiber, and convert it to something what is readily usable for humans. Basically, as people were moving from their best habitable places, obtaining food was harder, and so they were looking for any way how to make it easier. Also, as the best soil was used, some people were pushed to less productive places, and also they looked there for any means how to survive there. And I think this will also happen in the collapse future. So basically, what I hear now very often when the people talk about surviving in the future, they talk about as everyone can have the best land which is available today. I don't think that will be the case. Some of us will be pushed to the marginal places. And basically, what the animals are doing is the concentration of nutrition and also spreading and storing the food out of the top season. Basically, what I sort of see in some of the discourse today is yes, the nature is super productive in some times, but it is the minimum food availability during the year which defines the survivability of the place. So it is not the moment when everything is abundant which defines how many people can live in a place, but it's the minimum. And in our latitudes in winter, you cannot grow anything basically. So you need to store, you need to process. And all this takes time, all this needs a labor, which you need to be able to give. And also always think about that when you think about the future, you know, it is how the Nate Hagen says it. Everybody living in this northwestern society has like 500 slaves, and then you will be probably alone on it, alone with your family or with your community. But it's really different. So what I see in like the history of this place, if it was the combination of human labor and animals, what was the most productive combination around here? Uh, it sometimes led to some like weird situation when it can be seen that the people were serving the animals. When a lot of what the humans did was serving the animals. But it was because it was serving in the time of abundance, and the animals then provided back in the time of scarcity. But I don't know if you are familiar, I can just recommend the book Just Enough, which is about Japan, about the historic Japan, where this like agriculture was perfected, and in their like climate, the most productive was like without animals. The only animals there were humans, which also led to quite interesting implications. And I really recommend to read this book uh, from I forget the name of the author, but this is it. So the first, material and food creation and processing. Meat, the animals, let's face it, they store the meat very best for us to the winter. Milk, the animal is converting on the spot. It's the one of the few things which you can survive in small farm, which works better than the supermarket because it's fresh every day, it's local, and it's created just from the grass or something you cannot eat. And it's produced like every day. Eggs, very similar. Concentrated protein, food, calories every day. And then, which is quite overlooked these days, it's wool and hides. Uh, because it's just in the future it will not be just the food which we take in consideration now because that's something what needs to be replenished like the most often, but there will also be time when we get to the end of the fibers of the clothes, and now the world is like swimming in these things. But in the future and in the past it was not the case. So also what the sheep provide us is wool. All the animals can provide us the hides, or yeah. So this is something what is also important. Let's move to the second point, and that's fertility concentration. Uh, so, in the past, the animals in some places were used more for the fertility concentration than for their direct products. What I mean by this, and it's also super important, and from my point of view, not enough attention is given to it because now the fertility is abundant, and the fertility is abundant not only in the conventional agriculture with this Haber-Bosch process converting oil to nitrogen, but it's abundant also in the organic agriculture, what we don't often see, because now as we have the oil for running the machines, it's very easy for us to produce like excess grass, excess compost, because we can create this with the fossil machines. But that was I was when I first met mulching, I was asking, wow, why was mulching never used in my childhood in our places? It was not. My grandfather was like small farmer, self-sufficient farmer, and never nobody used mulching. But it was because harvesting the grass with a scythe, with a human labor. And then when you convert it to compost, you will find that a lot of labor is produces like just a handful of compost. So, uh, so basically, the the animals were used for the fertility concentration in the sense that when you go into the energy data and take in according the basic physics, you will find out that the fertility, then supplying the fertility to your, grain, legumes, vegetables were a big task in history. And the animals are perfect for that. Basically, they spend their time like harvesting the the fertility which are spread through the land in the form of grass, in the form of trees, in the form of fallen leaves, and they concentrate it into their manure, which is then much easier to harvest for you, for humans, and take this fertility in the place where you want to grow your nutrition dense dense food. So in the past there were there were different ways how the people did it in the past. There was the way that the people pastured the sheep somewhere in the night, and then in the day, and during the night they came in, and during the night they did their poop on the place close, and then it was returned, but the fertility was sort of skimmed for the big area or mountainous area and brought home. The advantage of this was also that it prevented the people overusing, because the sheep, the animals left most of the fertility on the place where they were grazing, and only part was taken home. Or, yeah, we need to admit that in history, uh, and it was the same in our country, it led to the conclusion that the most productive for the fertility concentration was sometimes having the animals at least part of the time confined in the barns or so, and bring them some of the food, because then you had the fertility concentrated very much easier, and you take the manure um, in the bar. From our current point of view, this is too much abuse or restraint of the animals. But I we will see how the future will turn out. Maybe this will be also the way where it will know. We don't know. It was probably also much safer when you had the cow and it was your the most precious possession, and it was basically the surviving thing of you. It was much more safe to you having it somewhere inside than having it on the pastures. We don't know. Next point, physical services. So the animals also brought are bringing us physical services. What I mean is draft, moving of the stuff not so long ago was just fully dependent on animals. And also the soil preparation, when you can dig your small garden for your precious vegetables with your hand, sure, but then for some more land, the animals are really handy. So uh, for in Czech Republic, it was basically used for the staple crops. In our place, it's like potatoes and grain, wheat, barley, rye. For that, the people were working I don't know, half a hectare for soil, which is basically very hardly doable. Well, I think undoable with hand tools. So the animals was used for that. I remember my grandfather was plowing, doing all the work with cows. The horses were not so used because they were too precious. And so using the animals is big help. Also, we use pigs for soil preparation, because when you are turning the land from grass to arable land, like this first process, the animals they like it, and they get food from it, and it's really big help for you. And in the last moment today, I also find out one more thing, and it's like climate resilience. And that's also something which uh, which I find quite interesting, because the animals, they usually have much bigger, like this optimal temperatures where they can work, like survive, live, than the plants. For example, in our place, in last 3 years or nearly 4 years, we did not have any crop from the perennials, because even we had very warm, like end of the winter, March. It's like, I don't know, 5 to 6 degrees warmer than usual. But then in the end of April, beginning of March, big frost will come. And it basically like kills everything. So last year we did not have red currant, which until last year I cannot imagine it the red currant can freeze. But last year we had no fruit, no berries, nothing. And also we spent quite a lot of time working with the vegetables. We needed to brought it back home. We needed to take a lot of care. But basically, the point is that our animals were fine. And and I somehow believe that the animals can survive with the help of people, can survive much bigger range of temperatures, bigger range of extremes. So before we are now in this super heat wave here, and basically I moved all my animals to shade pastures, or to they have the cow has access to the barn, so she can cool. We provide them with ample water, and they are not fine. They don't like it, but they will definitely survive it without any like long term issues, the same as the humans. So that was a little bit of theory. I hope I didn't overwhelm you, but basically, I think like everybody believes that, but I believe I have some science behind what I am doing, and I wanted to share this with you. Just when someone will try to tell you uh, that it's always better without animals, you can have at least few arguments against that. And now to our place. So I just want to now make, I don't know, do I have 15 minutes?
Yes, you do.
10 minutes? 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. So we have then come some time for talk, because I want to hear you. I don't want to talk so long, because I am talking everywhere. Everybody is asking me questions when I am on some action or meeting, and I like to listen a little. So, what we have now on our farm, just quick overview. So, we have horses. We have two horses. We have big draft horse of some traditional Czech breed. It's this like, yeah, draft horse, big draft horse. And we have a Shetland pony, which is basically the smallest horse you can imagine. I think she can go under the big horse when the big horse, well, yeah, not really, but let's say we can use some over. And they are friends, both are girls, and basically we use them in the garden. So for our staple crops like potatoes, and for our like bigger place there in the on the farm, then where there we use the horse with some with some old implements with some old implements. Sorry, I was thinking if I can show it to you from the video, but no, I no. And this really replaces a lot of human labor, I need to say. We can do our gardens like with hand tools, and we believe humans should do that, but when you need also to live in the current society, then this is big help. So we don't use them very often, but they enable us to do this. We have all the basic easy implements for them to work, and they do their share. We also use them for the fertility concentration. So basically, they go on the pastures, and we feed them hay during the winter, and then we take the fertility and give it to our arable land. Uh, I know that some like small gardeners in US, they keep horses only for the fertility concentration, because you always on the farm has a place where you cannot grow the like crop you can sell, and you can grow there some cover crops or hay. You harvest it, you feed it to your horses, and then you give the fertility back there. Uh, we try to have more horses during our history, but it never was a success. We are not like horse people, so we don't ride them. We have like wagon behind the horses, so we use it for like wagons and some like farm implements. My goal in long term is to be able to do hay with horses, but it's quite a lot of work. I have the tools now for it, but say make the hay when the sun shines, which is true. But when sun shines, there is hot. There are these flies, and working with horses in this condition is really hard. I have friends like in 10 kilometers distance who do all the big market vegetable with horses, and I have friends who do all the hay with horses. So I have where to go for my ideas when I need it. I probably started from the size. So second, we have cow. We have cow for milk and for the meat. We slaughter the calf like every year or two, but the main product of the cow is milk. And that, in the history of our place, there was this saying that when you have cow, you will never be hungry. Uh, in the smallest people, it was a goat. So when you had just I don't know 1,000 square meters, you had a goat, and the goat provided milk for you. When you had more, like half a hectare or something like that, you had a cow. So there were these stories where the people were going with the sites, sighting the places around the roads, and that was the common, not common. Everybody knew what is his part, and they harvested the grass, took it back to the goat or cow, and these provided them through the milk. The milk and eggs are very important because you do not need to slaughter the animal for it. They provide it while living. With the cows, we have the calf like every 2 years, I think, so you can milk the cow much longer. You don't have to have a cow every year. We have the calf every 2 years. We let the calf very long time under the taking the milk from the cow, and then we slaughter it for the meat. Basically, this replaces a lot of work for you producing your food. It replaces your growing the grain and legumes and storing them, processing them, because the milk is very much concentrated. We milk now about like 3 4 liters of milk a day. We have a Jersey cow. Uh, she is now like nearly 2 years after giving birth to the calf, and she still, this is very much enough for a family. We do yogurt, we do quark, we do cheese, and the cheese is basically the product you can, we do hard cheeses and you can basically store them without any energy input for a very long time. So we do cheeses uh, for our family. As I said, for producing milk, when cow is too big for you, the goat is perfect. And we had goats for 10 years or something like that. We milked goats. We also milked sheep, uh, which the sheep, they have the best milk what you can have, but it's fiddly. It's very little milk from the animals. So we don't do it anymore. Now I don't want to give my time in having this like sort of posh luxury product for me, because the cow milk is very much enough. So that's milk. Now we have sheep now. We have like about 20 sheep. Here we have Shetland sheep and we have Gotland sheep, which are breeds which are special for wool. The Shetland sheep are together with the Merino sheep the best wool producing sheep. The wool is the best, very soft, so you can have even your underpants from that. Very important. Uh, and the Gotland sheep is like Swedish breed, which is for the fur, for the hides, for the skins. But the wool is very much used for the carpets, for this not very, it's very long, so it's not for the fine work of like clothing, but it's very much, it's a lot of the wool is produced for this like carpets, blankets, something like this. We also process this wool, so we have the looms, we have the spinning wheel. Basically, we can basically produce this from the scratch. I have some like hand machine for knitting, which can like knit very fast, but it's just hand tool. And so from the wool we are able to produce like the final product. I need to admit we do it in limited quantities, and it just boils down. We need to survive the present, and we have 4 kids. We need to get some money, and we also, you are so much push. I need to do some talks, and I need to attend some meetings online, and all this takes time, even when we love it. So we have, our goal is to every year process something so we know that our tools work, but it's not that I do all my socks myself. Sorry, I don't have a time. And no, I'm too lazy for it. Yeah, just tell it. I am too lazy for it. I want to have some free time. No, it's not that I cannot do it. Yes, I am too lazy to do that. And but we are trying to be in the position of being able to do that. And also Alena is experimenting a lot with the plant fiber. So in our place it's a linen, it's the Yeah, it's the linen. I don't know the names of the other plants in English. It's nettles. Nettles, very much fiber grows by itself. But then it grows by itself. But have you tried to process that? The sheep, she is giving it to it on this like golden something. I don't know, there was this saying, but it's so much more prepared and it's so much more. Even the nettles which grow by themselves, process the nettle to the product which the sheep is giving you ready. I can tell you that it's a lot of work and there is a lot of points when it can go bad. So it's not just about the work, it's also about like this probability that it will get somewhere. Sheep. Pigs. We have pigs. We have this kune Australian type. They told me, but it's such a smaller breed of pigs. We had like pig mother and the sow and the father, and we were breeding pigs for some times. But now we are going like down with pigs because. Okay, how deep I should go? So in our places, the product of pigs was not the meat. Was not the meat. The product of pig was, who knows? Rayman knows. What was the most important product of the pig in the central world? It was the fat, because they had the meat. They can had the meat from the nature, from the wild animals, or from cows or rabbits. But none of these animals were provided the fat, was providing the fat. So the product of the pig was the fat. And the traditional breeds in Czech, they were just fatty. They were like a little bit meat and then fat. So they were bred just for fat. There were like kilos, liters of fat from the pig. But now with the like excessive production of oils, whatever oils, the pig fat. Sorry guys, I'm just starting to be tired, and English is not my nature language. Uh, so uh, it's quite forgotten. Uh, so the pig fat was used, but now we use quite a lot of milk fat, because when you take the cream from the milk, and the Jersey cow produces a lot of fat there, when you boil the fat, you get this ghee. I think it's even English word, ghee, and this can be very much used as a fat for frying and for whatever. Because the pigs, they need more this like high energy food like grain or whatever. They they get uh, they get the scrapes from the household. That's good. And in the old days, even when it's in Czech, the people quite often had a goat. They milked the goat, but they gave the milk to the pig. So the pig produced the fat. So there was this cycle that the goat milk was not used so much with the people, about just a little, but then it was fed with some like other things to the pigs, which produced the fat, which was then used. We also use the pigs for the soil preparation, which I need to say it's even more important for me now, because turning the grassland into some garden or arable land, it's a work, and the pigs, they like it and they can do it easily. But our goal now is to go a little bit lower. Now we have the mother and two other pigs, but the goal is to go down and to just have like one pig for the season, but not to breed pigs. We have rabbits for meat. Also, very like easy production of meat from grass, uh, advantage of rabbit. You don't need to store anything. When you slaughter a pig and it has like 100 or 200 a kilo, you need to share. And that was what was traditionally done in Czech. The pigs in the village were slaughtered in the winter. There was some products created and it was shared through the village. And then, like week later, another neighbor in the village slaughtered a pig and it was distributed through the village. I remember that, even like I was very small when it worked like that. But then rabbit, you need a meat. You go there and you have like portion for the family. They're just running around. We don't agree. Like sometimes people have the rabbits in very like small cages. We absolutely don't agree with that. Our rabbits have a quite big enclosure. They have their own burrows under the soil. So they just have their own life there. And we are sort of just harvesting, just giving some of the food in and harvesting the uh, too much. And I need to tell you, and the people in Australia know it, the rabbits can multiply very fast. So you have something to harvest. We have chickens for eggs and meat, also very productive animals. Even also for chickens, you need to provide quite like high density food if you want to have eggs. We have ducks. We have this Indian runner ducks. Also, they have a lot of eggs, and I think they convert grass to eggs better than the chicken. And also, they control the pests, the slugs. We in our like location, there is quite a big issue with these slugs, which can eat your crop easily, and the ducks control it very fine. We have dogs for fun and for the security. We have small dogs, and the people quite often ask me, "Oh, but when you want a dog for security, you need a big dog." Historically it was not like this because the goal of the dog was not to defend you; it was just to give you the warning. So the goal of the dog was to tell you somewhere on your property something was happening that you should give your attention. And it was then your task to defend you and the dog. So so the security in this dog is rather to let us know. And it's true that as we are like far from the people, it's really good for us to know when someone is around, and the dogs will let you know like immediately. They will bark, and you know something is happening. And you know something is happening, but also the person which is there knows that you know that they are there. So it's really, even when the dogs are small, we have like not farm breeds of dogs, but they in this sense they work very fine. We have cats for pest control. A lot of mice is catch during the year, and we have bees for honey and pollination. The bees in our latitude traditionally the only easy production of like sweet sugar, honey, because otherwise like producing sugar here is quite hard. You need to grow sugar beet and then process it, not very easy. And all of them are also bringing the fertility to our garden and fields. Fast, but I think it is it.
Hynek,
So
thank you.
I am ending here. Yeah.
Thank you, Hynek. Thank you very much. I see lots of people nodding and lots of people paying very close attention. I really appreciated that. I was lucky enough I was lucky enough to live and work in Romania for several years. And in rural communities, the life you were describing as your history was still very common, even in the last decade. So it's lovely to be reminded that there are places in the world where it is normal to live as you are living or was until quite recently. We've only got about 15 minutes left, so I wonder if there are questions. Hynek was very thorough in his presentation. But yeah, Anna, do you want to jump in first?
Sure. Thank you so much. This was really interesting and it inspired me to maybe volunteer more at the local farm in my neighborhood. My question for you is, could you speak a bit about disease? Like, for example, has your farm been affected by H5N1 or any other diseases, and how do you prevent those? And do you think that will be a problem in a collapse scenario? Thank you.
Sorry, I hate in the podcast everyone is saying that was perfect question, but then when it happens to you, what you should say? Yeah, but it was a perfect question. At least I like when it goes a little bit deeper. And so basically, we haven't had any problems with the diseases. I need to admit that there goes a few ideas to this, and it's just unsorted ideas. Uh, because of this, it's always quite good to have few smaller animals than one big one. When your cow dies, you are in shit. When half of your sheep dies, you are quite fine because they are living and they can multiply. So this is something what also we try to consider. Basically, we try to provide the best veterinary care we can. It's sort of hard these days. I don't know how it is in your location, but in our places, the vet doctors basically they don't want to see anything bigger than big dog. And the ones which do, they are like dying out basically. So we are still lucky. We have the vet doctor in our age, so we will work with him till our death probably. But there is nobody younger around. I think that also like watching the animals, this is really big difference. But this is same in the agriculture with the plants. There is this saying my wife is saying the um, best manure or fertility is the gardener attention. Does it make sense in English?
Yes, it
And
makes.
with the animals, it's like multiplied. You know, so basically when you have animals you need to watch them. That's the best advice which I can give anybody starting. Take 5 minutes every day for every animal in the beginning and watch them what they do. Yeah, because they go when they go for their life, stand a little bit aside, watch what they are doing, and you will see, you will be able to see if they have a problem before the problem starts to be serious. You will see that that sheep is behaving weird, and you can go there and start to tackle that until it's small. And diseases, yeah, that's important. And also think about what the animals like. That's basically what all of us should do when we keep animals. I have this theory. I sorry guys, I tell it Kat and David in the beginning. As I'm old, I have a story to everything. Everything leads to a story for me. Uh, but this, I think, when we have animals today, the animals should have as good life as we have. So in the past, the people, at least some, they have a hard lives. And some of their animals had hard lives. But I don't believe too much of the animals had harder lives than the people had. So what is really like wrong with me is, yeah, thank you, Donita, for the citation in English. Uh, what I cannot stand is when you are fine and your animals are not fine, not living good lives. As one of my friends who is farming with horses, he was speaking on some permaculture conference, and there was someone from the city standing up and saying, and don't you think you are overusing your horses when you do the work with them? And did they give you a consent? And he said, I am working 10 hours a day to give the food on your plates, and the horses are working maximum hour a day. So when I consider this, I am very fine with the work I am giving to my horses. Okay, back to diseases. And then, yes, sorry, one more idea before I end this rant. Is it called rant? What the guy is doing up there? Yeah, before I end this rant, Anna, I think maybe it will be less diseases because I think in the beginning of the collapse, there will be unfortunately big die out of the animals. There will be big die out of the mainstream farm animals, all those animals which are now in this laboratory conditions, completely dependent on food intake, shit outtake, electricity, ventilation. They unfortunately will be the first victims of this society going to hell. Uh, I don't believe we can do anything with this, so we just need to take as it comes. And I think so. There will be much less of these pathogens in the circulation, and I believe the after this first like moment, the rest of the animals should be more healthy. But maybe I'm wrong.
Really
Kat,
interesting. Thanks.
thank you, Anna. Kat, if I could make a suggestion. This has been a world-class presentation by Hynek. There is so much information grounded in so much serious practice and experience. We do not have time to process everything we have heard. We can't even do it. We have 7 minutes, and Hynek's getting tired, and we're out of time. So the suggestion, Kat, I would like to make is that we invite Hynek, if you're willing, to come back and do another session that is interactive, more so. Thank you. That's wonderful. And Kat, will you be with us, Kat, in 2 weeks, or does your vacation extend beyond that? I'm sorry.
I will be here in 2 weeks' time, yes.
Very good. Well, in the interim, we can do some administration and figure out how to make it work. We will make Hynek's presentation available on video so people can join. I've never heard anything like this. This is so wonderful and so informative. And we should give it its due, but we don't have time to do that right now. So let's do it another time. How do you feel about that, Kat?
I love that idea. And I think, I'm seeing there's some agreement on the screen. So we can make clear that session is, please watch the video if you haven't seen it. And that session will be the dialogue and the conversation. I think that's fine. And Hynek, I can touch base with you around, is that better 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, whenever we can make that work?
Let's make it direct if you don't mind, because then I forget everything.
Super. Let's do that. So that's what we'll do 2 weeks from today. We'll encourage people who weren't here to watch the video, and we'll come back and do the dialogue if everyone's okay. I'm seeing some nodding and some agreement. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, David, for the suggestion.
I will try to make my notes a little bit more palatable. Does it make sense? Because I hate watching videos and listening to podcasts, but I like reading. So I don't know if some of the people can be like that. So I tried maybe, or do you think the transcription is so good that how is it?
Yeah, super.
Okay, let's communicate it through emails then.
Words are good. Words.
Guys, thank you for being supportive. I am sweating. Here is wet. Here is so warm. I need to go milking. I need to go to give water to the horses. So I have my whole evening process in front of me.
In front of
So
you.
Thank
uh,
you. Thank you,
yeah.
Hynek, for donating your incredibly valuable time. It's
No,
been wonderful.
it's it's coming every day back. You know, I think you cannot bank your time. You need to use it because whatever you don't use, you cannot save it anywhere.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for being here. You'll get the usual reminder emails in the run up to 2 weeks' time. And we very much look forward to seeing you. Remember that the invitation is open to any of you. If you feel like you've got something that would be useful to share, whatever it is, if it's about your inner processes or any activities that you undertake that you feel others would benefit from, perhaps you're really good with handheld radios, perhaps you've got some first aid knowledge to share, perhaps you're a dab hand at preserving food or some other tips, do be brave. Do let me know or David or send an email to the Collapse Club with any ideas that you have. And if you're worried about a presentation, I will spend some time with you to put together some images or some slides to help that happen. So if you do feel like you're up for it, please send an email through to the Welcome at Collapse Club and we can get you on the schedule to share. Perhaps you're a whiz at financial planning or something, some steps or strategy that you're taking yourself in your own communities. Or you might be stuck with just me and David talking at you. Thank you so much,
And
everybody. Go well.
Thank you.
thank
Go
you.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you.